Please remain calm. The end has arrived. We cannot save you. Enjoy the ride. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Don't call it a warning. This is a war. My name is Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast.
And I'm Guy Pigden. And who was that? Whose ride were we enjoying on that?
Lyrical journey.
Yeah.
That was Bring Me the Horizon from their new single Parasite Eve. So go check that out if you're into metalcore bands from England like me.
Do you know where they got that name from, Parasite Eve?
It's because their song is on a game or something.
Yeah, well, it's from an anime called Parasite Eve, which I think then got turned into a game called Parasite Eve. So
right,
I guess that's where it all comes from. But it's
I think their song is on it or something.
Right,
because the video has a bunch of shots of anime stuff.
Yeah, once upon a time, I think I had some Parasite Eve comics.
Oh,
many moons
ago. Yes. Well, look, you'd better go check out this song, mate. You might really like it.
Well,
it's quite cool. They're quite a catchy band. Bring Me the Horizon. They started as this, kind of obscure metalcore band that got real big during the screamo period in the early 2000s and stuff. And then and now they're kind of big pop stars and have big hits as well.
Just see my focus gone out a little bit. So yeah, welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast. We're on COVID day 90 something, 90 maybe in the 90s now. I feel like we're in the 90s. What's going on? What's the news?
I love it when you throw to me asking me what I know about the current affairs.
How's everything been going?
I don't know really too much. What do we do? Oh, today the financial dude, the health minister, he quit.
The health minister resigned for being a bit of a buffoon and breaking all the laws that he is meant to be the man that is upholding most closely. Obviously,
the guy,
being the health minister,
the health minister of New Zealand, who went on in level 4
went on a jaunt.
Everyone needed to be staying within walking distance of their house, and we were all patriotically doing it, on behalf of the party. And then here's this buffoon who takes out his actual branded politician van. Yeah. It's his literal branded politician fucking van with his face on the side of it and Labour, and he drives it, what you're not allowed to do, and he drives it to a bike track and starts riding mountain bikes with his family, which is all against the rules.
You're also not allowed to do. No bike riding at that time.
No.
Yeah.
Because if you fall off and break your arm, then paramedics have to come and deal with you. And that's a potential point of transmission. That defeats the purpose of level 4 in the first frickin' place.
Total blunder.
It was, but it's sort of an innocent enough blunder, but it's pretty dumb.
Well, it's not really innocent because he surely knew what he was doing, and he is the health minister.
It makes me the bit that concerns me is that the seriousness of the situation was impressed upon me. And I never leave this fucking room, but I understood everything.
Yeah,
I got it all right. This guy, he should have the most intel of anybody, and really, you'd think if anybody had the seriousness of the situation impressed upon them the most, it would be that person who would say, "Holy shit, it's really important for this to work. We actually need to stay inside. I can't be driving around in a van with my fucking face on it and riding mountain bikes down the mountain after having people on TV say don't do that shit in his name as the health minister."
What does that just sort of speak to privilege, really? Is this what we're talking? Rich white guy privilege?
Yeah, you might be right there. There might be some rich white guy privilege.
Because to me it feels like, look, yeah, I know all these things, but I'm above the law. I don't think anyone's going to catch me, obviously.
Who's going to know? He's riding a bike in Dunedin during
Yeah.
lockdown when nobody's around. It's the perfect time to ride a bike.
Yeah. And
The tracks will be completely
and
empty.
B, the rules don't apply to me.
Not the wrong way.
I'm rich.
Yeah.
And then apparently, sort of recently through the who's the head of health, Ashley Bloomfield or whatever, threw him under the bus because they are for letting people out of quarantine. And he sort of blamed it on him, whereas he's the health minister. So he has also a responsibility. Anyway, he stepped down now, so good riddance. I don't really know.
I don't really know either. I don't know if he was a bad
guy.
Or a bad politician or not. Really, I don't really know anything about him apart from all this silliness.
Yeah. But yes, you can understand why people get upset about that sort of thing. The supreme sacrifices we're all making, including no bike riding. But so yeah, we've had a few new cases, but they're all in quarantine. They're all in. They're all locked down in their 14-day isolation. So allegedly, it's no worries. There has definitely been some sort of consternation that apparently some of the people that have left quarantine have just disappeared. 380 people have disappeared. So the idea is that, yes, you leave quarantine, but you're kept track of because, this virus... there's a new study showing that 40% of people don't show any symptoms, for example, and that you can get a false negative, which has been proven, and now they have to test twice, but even that is not 100% fail-safe. So there's all these sort of reasons why once you get out of your 14-day quarantine, you may not be 100% like clear, good to go, no worries, bro. And sort of everyone's like, yeah, there's 380 people. We encourage you to get back in touch with us. And it's like, So there's always these criticisms around, and this is a new.
I would if
get back in touch. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah,
just do it. Like
I would get back in touch.
How hard is it for you?
No, exactly. You go in.
You've
test.
come into our country as a guest, or maybe not, but whatever. But you've come into this country. Follow the rules.
That bit's true. Yeah, follow the rules.
But it is interesting because now.
But also, just do your part. Do your part.
It's not that hard to stay in touch instead of
team of 5 million
disappear off the map. But that's the thing, and now like it's always the criticism now is from the opposing party who's not in power is, what are they doing at the border? They're doing everything wrong at the border. They bungled it at the border. It's all gone downhill at the border. Not strict enough at the border, and it's like, look, guys, just take a fucking chill pill. If they're not doing a good enough job at the border, then we'll have community transmission. It'll be a problem. Otherwise, like, let's just see how this all plays out. I am kind of mentally prepared for the second wave, though. How about you?
Nah.
What?
I won't make it. I won't make it.
You'll be gone. You will have topped.
I'll be gone.
You will have topped yourself on that second wave.
I'll be gone. I'll be gone. I can't do 2 isolations like that. I can't. I can't.
So what they've said. This is like really a deep down issue that we're peeling back the layers on here. So what they have said now is that most likely, if there is another lockdown, it'll be like what they've done in Australia, where it's a lockdown in certain areas where they believe that there is a higher risk. So the whole country won't fall into a lockdown again. It will just be, Henderson's gone into lockdown, guys. Don't go to Henderson. Don't buy your groceries in Henderson at the moment.
Yeah.
And don't get anything at Bunnings because guess what? There could be COVID afoot there. So that area, that's on lockdown for a while. And that's the idea.
It doesn't sound like it'll... Oh, yeah, okay.
Controlled isolation. I don't know if it'll be Henderson. It might be like a whole city. I'm not really sure.
Right. I guess it would work if you caught it early enough. You go, hey, there's a person right here.
Yep.
If we just quarantine the whole city, it'll die out.
It will.
All we got to do is quarantine it for 2 weeks.
But
maybe 3.
But it does go back to that the quandary, the difficulty of like, how do you stop a worldwide pandemic that you have stopped without letting people come in easily, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't really know. I don't think they know. They haven't really figured it out.
I'm pretty.
They did.
Yeah.
The PM did say today that if you want to go for a jaunt over to Europe for a holiday now, expect to be paying for your isolation when you return. So your 14-day
Right.
quarantine. Guess what? Because at
Yeah.
the moment the government is paying for all of these quarantiners that come back.
Yeah.
They're paying for the
Yeah.
hotel. They're paying for
Yeah. Yeah.
3 meals
Yeah.
a day. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
huge expense.
Yeah. It was 81 million so far or something.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I heard 81 million.
Yeah, that essentially they're footing the whole bill, and that can't last. That can't really last. You know,
No.
at some point, you know, someone's going to have to pull out the old credit card and go, yeah, I guess, you know, but where that line is drawn.
The thing is, how do you set that date without creating a stampede?
That's a very
Because if
you almost want,
if you
yeah,
start talking like
yeah,
that, you know, and you go, you're going to have to give as much warning as
yep,
possible. You're going to have to say, look, we're going to give you a year or I don't
two
know,
weeks
you know, a certain amount of time, because otherwise everyone's going to come like scrambling home before the deadline.
before they have to pay for their
Yeah,
quarantine.
and they'll all save thousands by coming early, and which will cost the government more. You
Yeah,
see?
no, look, you're right. And so it's almost like, yeah, do you announce that and create that shitstorm?
Do you reckon it's actually so bad though if all the Kiwis just came home, all the expats just came home, and they were just like, cool, well, we better get to work,
Better
team.
get out.
Team of We'll be a team of 8 million
I was going to
or
say,
something, and it'll
we better get out on those farms, the dairy farms,
yeah, well,
wherever
we'll
it
have
is.
to. We'll have to.
We better get back into
Now
it.
we don't really want a big influx of unemployed people, I guess, but I do like the idea that maybe all of our brain drainers might come back as well. You know, the people that ran away for the brain
Yep.
drain would just perhaps come back
The
because
brains will be
you know,
refilled.
exactly. So that could happen too. You know, we could actually have a lot of skilled Kiwis coming home
That would be interesting.
and making a living here. You know, and just deciding to, you know, base themselves here now that they sort of can, with a lot of this international working from home kind of stuff that's happening after COVID anyway.
But what does that
So,
mean for us, Harley? If the skilled people come back, where
exactly.
to for us?
The thing is, Guy, I believe that you can't stand in the way of progress.
Yeah.
And I believe that we are able to be sacrificed. And so we will fall by the wayside as useless men.
Yep.
As these talented people come in and take all the jobs and all of that type of stuff. And that's sad and it's bad, but, you know, there's nothing we can do about it.
Well, I have been learning Photoshop.
Okay. I guess there's something you can do about it.
Yeah.
I guess you could
upskill
rather than just rolling over and accepting it.
Yeah, you could elevate yourself to
Well,
that level.
Different strokes.
You could definitely elevate yourself to the level of those people so you could compete with them, or you could just give up and accept that you'll be an unemployed loser for the rest of your life. I suppose that's the other option, you know.
I guess
you're really going for,
I guess that's kind of what I was thinking.
Just roll over and die.
Because Okay. Well, look, I guess another way of looking at it is, right, that this is an opportunity because we as native New Zealanders who are not returning, we are people who have an advantage over these people who are returning. No matter how brilliant, they still need to come back and reestablish their networks and so on. And so we have an advantage over them. Until such a moment as they come back and reestablish those networks, then we've lost our advantage. But hopefully, we are smart and cunning enough to find the ladder amongst all of that chaos.
Well, look, I'm not worried because I'm going to be a weird-looking extra on the Lord of the Rings TV series that's being filmed here when I lose my job.
Brilliant.
They're looking for ugly, funky-looking people for an unnamed TV series with elves and written by J.R.R. Tolkien. Unnamed. we can't say its name. It's not the Lord of the Rings TV series that's been filming here for some fucking 6 months that's just started back up. It's definitely not that. It's something else, an unnamed TV show from Amazon. There's only one that it could possibly be, but it's unnamed still. Anyway, I'm going to be one of the weird looking. I'm going to be a surly man at the Brandywine Inn or whatever the hell it is. Probably, yeah. And
yeah. Are you just guessing?
I'm totally guessing because I'll have like a mug of beer in my hand and I'll look over shiftily at the main cast.
Oh, I could see that. I could see that. Looking on the live stream, I could see that. Like it almost looks like the set right now.
Look for it right now.
With that sweater, that could totally be like a medieval sweater. No, that could be like a medieval knit sweater. You know, you totally look the part. You're a roguish stranger traveling through the tavern.
Looking disapprovingly at the hobbits. So anyway, so I'm not too...
Yeah, well, I really want to walk on. I want to be a guard in the throne room.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to walk on and I want to go, my liege? Yes, my liege. And then walk off.
The funny thing is, right, like, the thing about being an extra, like the crazy weird thing about being an extra, is the fortune of that is completely random in the sense that you could be an extra and come in and they use you for one thing. Or you could be the guard in the throne room that has 100 days of filming and you're just standing in the corner because it's the same guard, same corner. He's got to be there for all these scenes. We need you for 100 days. Oh, and guess what? Because you said my liege, we're paying you. We're giving you a pay bump. So you get an extra $500 for that day that you said my liege. So congratulations. It's all good for you. Meanwhile, the extra next to you that was selected to be the beggar in the town square just had to wallow around in the mud, in the dirty, disgusting mud, and sort of freeze to death for half a day. And they're like, thanks, we got that scene, but we can't use you for anything else now because we saw you in the begging and get all muddy and shivering. So sorry about that, but thanks for your time nonetheless. So the fortune of the extra is fraught with randomness, I suppose.
Well, like when I was on Avatar as an extra, there was a woman there who someone said, oh, can you? I think. Yeah, they needed someone to do one line, and it was one line. She's sitting at the space station, and she's saying some stuff, and it was a decent line actually, but they just needed some extra to do it, and so everyone that said they could do an American accent put up their hands, and they chose her, and then she got it, and now she's in the credits, like she's in the credits there. I can't remember what she's titled as, but she's in there.
And that was you next to her.
Well, no. See, I was not even in that scene.
Okay, yeah, there.
I was sitting around outside eating the food.
I still do love your metric for working out how much James Cameron owes you. Based on the back of your bald head being in a couple of shots.
Yeah. The idea being that if the film made X amount of billions and the film was X amount of seconds long, and I'm in the film for 1.5 seconds, that therefore you owe me $26,000. Or something like that. The idea being that the second I was on screen, it was my second that I should get my cut for. So I turned that into a vlog and sent it to James Cameron. In fact, maybe even I'll play it right now. But only on the edited version of the Guy and Harley podcast. Sorry for the listeners at home. That's why you got to tune into the actual podcast sometimes. The edited version gets a few other bits and pieces.
But
there.
If you are live streaming, so we do have a live streamer question, so we should address that.
Yeah.
From Neon Fox 455. What are your thoughts on Trump right now?
You just asking me broadly?
Yeah, I mean, short of going back into that Christian...
One of these rants.
If we could just avoid going into the Christian death cult for the third time. What are your thoughts on Trump? You think he's a master manipulator You think you
Uh,
think he's a actually much smarter than he appears everywhere. Uh,
well, I think that he knows that he is the clown, and he knows that's his job. That's what it is. He knows he's the clown. That's his job. And this is the court jester. This is what he does. He attracts the attention to him, and he distracts you from what the real power people are doing in closed doors, behind the scenes. And he's just there to sort of stoke up the fire and stuff. But essentially he's a puppet, but he knows that he's a puppet, and he knows that he is playing this part. He doesn't reach the position in life that he's in, even with his like huge head start, without having a certain amount of cunning to you, because there's a million rich white billionaires out there, and they're not the president of the United States. None of them managed to buy the highest seat in the land. None of them managed to do it until him. This like just complete businessman, wasn't even a politician. He didn't have any background in politics.
Absolutely, completely unqualified.
Completely unqualified. So he's just a puppet, but he knows it.
I completely disagree.
He's part of it. He's not just a wandering buffoon that stumbled into the office.
I completely disagree. I think that's exactly what he is. I think that simultaneously in history, a series of various events all came together at the perfect time, which was a catalyst for him to have the ability to be voted in with some help from his Russian friends, and a million other things that were completely out of his control. I will also say that I've heard stories from people talking about his run towards the presidency, where even he himself did not think he was going to win. Even the day before he won, he did not think he was going to win. And then afterwards, he was kind of like, well, shit. Now I've got to be fucking president? I really wasn't expecting this. So to me, so my thoughts were that he is an absolute... There's so many things wrong with him, but he's just, at his heart, is just a dumpster fire of a human being that is hurtling his country further into chaos, where he should be... there's so many opportunities he's had to sort of to help the pandemic, and he's done nothing but cause it to grow and get worse. There's a million opportunities he's had to kind of support the imbalance of racial injustice and address it, and instead he's almost fueled white supremacists with some of his remarks and the shit that he retweets and shares, because
overtly fueling
clearly he himself is maybe racist, and he is the antithesis of what a president should be. He is the absolute worst president in history.
Yes, but it's not sheer incompetence. This is his purpose. He's an opportunist. He's an opportunist that sold his soul. No. That's what he's done. He's a horrible businessman that sold his soul to these people who want to bring about the end of the world.
You say he's smart and stuff, but he's not smart. He wasn't smart as a businessman either. He has gotten...
Yes, but there's a million not smart businessmen out there, and they aren't the president of the United States.
Also,
despite wanting to, there's a lot of smart businessmen who couldn't.
But a lot of them weren't. All of them weren't also in the position to run for presidency, and then they weren't in the position where there was no other candidates to be pushed forward up the ladder until he was picked as the Republican candidate. So there's a lot of factors at play that clearly speak to circumstance and chance, and just do not speak to an intelligent man at all. Nothing he does is intelligent at all. Not a single one thing. He's never done anything smart.
I guess we'll have to let the listeners come to their own conclusions, I guess. Personally, I think that
he could be a genius playing a buffoon as part of a Christian death cult, or he could be a fucking buffoon who stumbled his way into the presidency through a corrupt political system, through a series of, I will say, unfortunate events, because the political voting in system is very flawed in America. How you become a Republican candidate, and then how you get whittled down to the two people, that should be president. It's very different.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. America is a very competitive place. And so you've still got to be the best of the best to stumble into these things, like it's not, he is a lot smarter than what he is playing. He's playing this character, but he is also literally that character as well. It's not a big stretch for him. I don't think he's like the smartest tool in the shed, but I think he knows what he's doing. And I think he knows that he's just the puppet, and he knows that he's got to incite, she's got to inflame the boundaries between societies, different cultures and so on, in order to get this unrest going. And he thinks it's in order to get him reelected. That's what he thinks it's for. But the death cult knows, the Christian death cult, the Trump Pence Christian death cult knows that's not the case.
Well, history will probably show us in a few years where we're going here.
Yeah, well, what the Christian death cult wants the discord in order to bring about, the second coming of Jesus. If you ever wanted to know why Jesus is definitely a myth, it's this idea of the second coming, because nobody can come twice. It's definitely a myth.
Good joke. That's our thoughts on Trump. Lexi Graves says that he can suck my fucking dick, and I cannot emphasize enough how much he can absolutely eat my ass. And
shout out to Lexi Graves. All this talk of ass eating.
Yeah. Donald Trump. It's terrible for the country. And I feel, because we have friends over in America, we have a lot of good people who are obviously not Trump supporters,
including Lexi Graves right now on the live stream,
caught in a crossfire of incompetence, and with no they have to suffer through this
crossfire of incompetence. I like that.
A recession, a pandemic which is growing exponentially, and they are the ones that have to suffer. It's not Donald Trump Donald Trump that has to suffer. Sadly, if he was the sort of the victim of
this is the problem,
what he sort of perpetrates, he would probably be a much better president.
Do you want to know what's scary? Is that the people that are really in charge of humanity are the rich and powerful people. These movers and shakers, they make all the decisions. But the thing is that they live behind big walls, and so they live in air-conditioned houses. And when they don't like the weather in their home, they can move homes to another island or another, a continent if they want to. And so what will happen is the rich will start living in smaller and smaller enclaves of beautiful weather. And the rest of us will be trapped out here in the storms and all that stuff. And they'll keep making decisions as if the world is infinite, because when they get up in the morning and look outside, it's fucking beautiful, because they're not really being affected by climate change and the refugees all being swarming everywhere and all that stuff, because they live behind big walls.
Well,
so it'll just get worse and worse and worse. And then eventually it finally reaches them and they go, oh, we fucking destroyed the world. Oh, I'm such a greedy fuck. Oh, I'm on a big pile of money and everyone's dead. Oh.
Well, don't worry, mate. We've still got Elon Musk sending us to Mars.
He's one of the goodies. He's one of the
Bill
goodies.
Gates, he's not too bad.
Bill Gates is a goodie. Bill Gates is a goodie. Elon Musk, he's one of the goodies.
So there's a couple of them that are trying to... Warren Buffett donates a lot of money.
I don't know enough about him, but he seems alright.
Gives away a lot of money to good things.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not really his money, is
George Lucas.
If you're just making money from investing stuff, you're just moving money around and grabbing handfuls.
I just want to sidebar to George Lucas. Allegedly, when he sold Star Wars for like 400 million or billion or something ridiculous, right? It was either 4 billion or 400 million. I can't remember which, right?
Yeah, it was something big,
a lot,
I remember.
Right? He gave all of that money away.
Bless you.
allegedly. That's the kind of dude that George Lucas is. Just didn't make a big song and dance of it. He just gave most of it away. I'm sure he kept some.
Yeah. But I guess the thing is, if you've got enough, then it's great. Pass the rest on. He's got enough for his life. And his kid's life and his grandkids' life.
Unfortunately, that is not the point of view of the rich elite. So, you know.
Well, this is the issue. Now, I do have a couple of shout-outs here. I wanted to shout out Nick Zaladi, long-time listener. Wazza, who I bumped into the other day. Shout out to Wazza. He likes to listen to the edited version when he's driving. So I always think of him when I'm cutting it together. I think this is for you, Wazza, and Jamie Oxley, and everyone else that listens to the actual podcast version of it because you're driving places. I wanted to shout out Sam Wheeler as well. I wanted to shout out Tommy Svila, who's listening way over in London land. And he's been listening for a little while. Shout out to you, Tommy, old friend of mine.
Pronounce his surname?
Well, that's how I pronounce it, Svila. But I don't. I wouldn't. I would have to hear it from Tommy. But yeah, Svila. That's how I say it.
Okay.
And I've also got a nice comment here. This is the opposite of the troll hole. This is the unicorns.
The unicorn sparkle.
The unicorns sparkle. I was going to go for bunghole, but it didn't sound very good. So unicorn sparkle. I like that. So segment. Anyway, it's a nice comment on the internet. We don't get many of those. This one says, this is from Echo M. Well, this one's from Echo M, and Echo M was watching on YouTube, and says this on our latest episode, on the previous episode 73. Your friendship / chemistry really comes through. I recently discovered your first film, I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, and thought it was a lot of fun. I hope your new films reach more fans. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Echo M. We will, God damn it. Well, and it's for people like you.
Going. We were on the verge of giving up.
We were. I've been on the verge of giving up for a long time.
We're on the precipice of giving up, but that comment has salved our dashed hopes and dreams up until this point. It has salved them, and now we shall persevere past this 2.6 rating, which I'm looking at on Letterboxd of our of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
You'll remember that last week I said that I had boosted a post on Facebook for some T-shirts, and that it had gone really viral and really big, and it was, for some reason, hundreds of people were liking it and all that type of thing. Yeah, so I've figured it out, but I mean, it's got really big. It was like 1,500 reacts or something like that the last time I checked, which is quite a lot, especially compared to the 6 we normally would get. And so what it turns out, though, is I think that I had it set to worldwide instead of just people that like our stuff worldwide. I think I just had it to worldwide, so it was just out there in the wild west of the internet ad world, and it was just popping up in, like, you know, random as wherever these places were. But I still don't understand why all of these bot-like people responded to it. Maybe they're just bots that are out there that just respond to ads, you know, full time. Maybe that's what they do. I don't know.
Well, look, that's a pretty good job, isn't it? Just hitting like, and writing a haha, cool comment. If that is your sort of job, or you've got a bunch of little programs doing that for you, I suppose, on your computer automatically. Hey, that's not bad. So we've got 1,000 on that one now. What exactly, were we selling any T-shirts or anything on that, or?
Well, that's the issue. So it's a sponsored post to try and sell our Guy and Harley podcast merchandise. That was the whole point of posting it. I'm just trying to find it. Here it is. So it's had 5,000 reacts, and they are virtually all thumbs up and loves. Thumbs up and loves. 5,000 reacts, 56 comments, and 5 shares that cost me $10 of boosting a post of you and me wearing the t-shirts. It says we reached 29,832 people. Now I'm just having a look here, and on day 1 we got 23 clicks.
Okay.
On day 2 we got 4 clicks.
Okay.
On the rest of the days, we got 0 clicks. So we got 27 clicks total on our actual t-shirt buying link for out of 30,000 people that saw it, and 5,000 reacts and 56 comments and 5 shares. It led to, as well as all of my shares plus anybody else that shared it. It went to it got 27 clicks and no sales.
That's a little suspicious, isn't it?
Oh, all of it is, because there are all these kind of bot-like accounts. But if I pay Facebook to advertise and I say I want it worldwide, that doesn't mean I want to just get bots all over my ad.
Yeah.
But it's weird. But the other thing too, right, is that they're all saying positive things, and all the comments are like, nice post, nice, that's cool, nice. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to complain about this, right?
Well, surely though you have to, because the whole point of these Facebook ads, right, even for Facebook, is that they're legitimate and that they lead to sort of clicks and buys and likes and streams and whatever it is. Because even for them specifically, if your Facebook post doesn't make any money, like it doesn't lead to anything, then you're going to be less likely to pay for another boost.
Well, it's true. I'm not going to do that again, am I?
Well, not with these bots swarming all over it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm a little suspicious about that one. But
yeah, me too.
But I think you should complain and say, what's going on, Facebook? Like, I reckon you should send an actual email and be like, hey, Facebook, I did this. This happened to me. Can you please explain?
Do you have any idea how difficult it is to get in touch with anybody at Facebook? It's not like I'm pretty sure I checked it out. I tried to get Mark Zuckerberg's personal email. So I tried Zuckerberg at Facebook.com or M Zuckerberg at Facebook.com. Why don't you just
send him a DM?
Yeah. Well, true. Yeah, I tried that too. But unfortunately, his email address is not Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook.com.
Well, look, I think there is an issue with Facebook in that they want to make, and we've had some issues on Facebook before with crazies.
And now these ads in my fucking messenger, right?
Lurking.
I'm going to war.
And we have all these things, and it's like, cool, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I need to contact Facebook. You weave your way through all the safety terms and conditions to try and find a way to actually contact Facebook. And it's like, yeah, they make it as difficult as possible because they don't have the manpower or person power, the infrastructure to actually handle people emailing them all the time. And they don't want to pay for that. Even though they're making billions of dollars, they don't want to pay for all that stuff. And therefore, they're like, okay, so let's just lead them in a kind of a circle back out to where they can't complain. And when they get back to can't complaining, most of them will give up. And then we only have to worry about this really small percentage of people that really dig deep into Facebook to try and find a way to talk to us. I've definitely sent a few messages to Facebook and have had very little in response from them.
Well, that's kind of my point. So I don't care enough to actually contact them.
Throw it into the abyss, mate. See what happens. I reckon they'll...
I'd be better off just to take a bunch of screen grabs and post it publicly and go, dear at Facebook. And then just post it because, that use the system against itself.
Why not? Good content.
But truthfully,
I mean, compared to some of the...
Is it good content?
Compared to some of the stuff that you put up,
my posts are fucking genius. What are you talking about? My posts are good. I have my great posts recently.
It's at least, I guess it's consistent content. Consistent with the rest of your content.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I've gone full frame on.
You've gone full frame, mate. I'm gonna have to fix that.
Good, yeah. Yeah, well, this flat hunting, I've been flat hunting,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not really actively flat hunting because I'm still trying to figure out what to do. And this is the issue. I don't know what the fuck to do with my
Yeah.
life. Um, so I'm sort of doing nothing instead.
So rather than
Oh,
rather
right.
than upskill, um, rather than as they say in the wrestling business, learn a new hold.
Mm.
Rather than better yourself in any way, you've rejected all those notions and you've just sat around pondering the notion of what will you do.
Mm. Yeah, basically. So yeah, pretty much. Like I am sort of looking for this new flat, but I don't even know if that's the right thing to do because my other options, right, are to remain here where I am, which is obviously the
Mm-hmm.
easiest, and keep looking for work in Auckland. But the problem with this place is that it is too much. Like I didn't want to pay this much when I was working like all the time. So I certainly don't want to pay it now while I'm working fuck all. But it's an option. I just stay here, don't do anything, and hope work falls in my lap. Or a variation on that, and this is an exciting new option, right? Is I start a new flat in, whatever suburb, and I rent a whole house, and then I get flatmates in to fill it. Then I retain control. I get to live like where I want, and I don't have to move into a grubby flat with a bunch of strangers. Because if you
Well,
think
those
about
people will be
how
strangers, won't they?
well, they will be, but they'll be moving into my place, which is
Mm,
empty at
mm.
first. So it'll be clean, and then these people will be moving in, which is kind of okay, right? But if you think about when you move into a new flat, how many pathogens do you encounter when you move into someone's old bedroom and start sharing a shower with five strangers, you know? And it's like some of these places are, I don't mean anyone specifically or anything like that, but just some of these places could be kindly described as dilapidated
Mm,
dumps as
mm.
well. Especially in the price ranges I'm
Oh
looking at
yeah.
here. So if I'm trying to, I'm trying to save some money here. So I'm sort of thinking, all right, look, I'm from the hood, I'm from the ghetto. I can go back to that. I've done that. I can be that
Mm.
again. I can be that basement dwelling, rat again if I have
Well,
to.
I think we should just like sidebar into one of
Yeah.
your Wellington flats. So you used to live in Wellington. You used to have a flat
Yeah.
in a basement,
Yeah.
and there was a hole in the wall that you
Yeah.
had to run. So there was a hole in the wall. Where did the hole go to? Like a mound of dirt and like
Yeah.
I guess sewage that was like kind of piling in a pool at the and like a puddle of sewage or
Uh-huh.
something. There's a
Uh-huh.
puddle of dirty
Oh,
water
so
that was just kind of
yeah,
like a stagnant
stagnant.
dirty water, thank you, that you had to that you had to so this was just a hole in your wall, just a random hole in the back of your basement. You had to go outside and walk upstairs to get to like the toilet and the
Yeah,
kitchen and anything which was in the
and I have my
in the
dog in
main
there.
normal part. And so in this basement
Yeah,
with this giant like hole with this giant puddle of
yeah,
stagnant water that you had to pump out onto the street occasionally when it got too stagnant and smelly.
yeah, yeah.
Like this
But
this
but
this
but
this
that's
horrific sex
that's
den where you brought women and they just like look like they just peer into like literally this hole in the wall. It's like something out of a horror film. You feel like a fucking monster is gonna emerge from this. It's like the ring is just gonna crawl out of the stagnant
yeah,
fucking pool,
yeah,
and they're like, "What am I doing? I've
yeah.
slept with this person. What have I done? What am I doing with my life?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, I'll tell my version of that story, which is that's pretty close.
Oh,
That's
it's
actually
very
that's all
accurate.
pretty
Yeah.
close. That's all pretty close. The only things I would say about that flat that you were perhaps a little exaggerating. Okay, so it was a basement flat that I lived in with my dog,
Yep.
and I did have to go outside onto this quite busy street
Mm.
to get upstairs to go to the toilet, and I had to use my key to I had to use my key to get into the house, and then I had to use my key to get back into my own room. So I
Yeah.
had to use two keys and walk up some stairs on the street anytime I wanted to like go to the loo.
Yeah.
And then in that room I first walked in and there was mud all over the floor, like a few millimeters of mud on the floor, and it was all wet and it stank. and it was a basement, a wet, stinky basement, and there was carpet on the floor, but it had gotten all wet, and the carpet was from like being samples of carpet. Somebody had got some samples of carpet and then like a
cobbled them
jigsaw,
all together.
it just cobbled them all together like a jigsaw and made the carpet there. And then so and I was like, oh fucking hell! But I was like, all right, I can tidy this up, because the flatmates were all really very attractive, and so I said, all right, I can tidy this up.
It looks
and also,
great.
To be fair, I was also living in a van at the time.
Yeah.
So I was living in a van with a dog, and there was this flat that was super cheap in a great location with a flat of fun, beautiful people, and all I had to do was tidy up this mud. And so I got in there, tidied it up, and what happened was next time it rained, it happened again, and it was really fucking annoying. And so it turned out that behind the wall was so I took there was a panel over the hole. It wasn't just a big hole that the ring lady would crawl out of, and I had to. There was a panel which I moved out of the way.
Someone had boarded it up to keep the ring lady in there.
Yeah. And then behind the wall was a deep, dark, muddy hole that was like probably like a little over a foot deep or more, and really round, like a big round hole that was like a foot deep. It would be like gallons of water type thing. Yep. And it was a hole, and it was full of water, and every time it rained, that hole would get a little bit more full, and then eventually it would flood. But the way around it was you get a bilge pump, which is a pump that turns on when it automatically reaches a certain water level. And so I just put it in there, and it ran a pipe down the wall coming out. So it came out of the hole. I plugged it into the wall. This bilge pump was electric, so you just plug it in, and then I was playing with electricity and water, which is great. I'm a total amateur, and so I had the bilge pump in there, and every time it rained, it would pump the water down a pipe, which ran down the side of my room and then came out the bottom of my bedroom door onto this main street. And there was this big streak of brown water from my poo hole, from my bedroom hole, that was staining the footpath.
From the well of the ring lady where she was. Yeah. So to me, you've made that story worse through your description. I haven't. If anything, I was underselling.
But no, because after then it went dry. As in after that, once I'd set the bilge pump up, it was very effective, very, very effective. It never got deep because the bilge pump was only like a couple of inches or whatever off the ground. Yeah. So you'd put it in the bottom there, and if the water reached a couple of inches, it would bilge pump it right out of there.
The bilge pump, commonly used for the removal of sewage, was very effective. And removing the puddle of mud from the hole in the wall of your basement.
Puddles of my basement flat. Your microphone is still, every now and then it crackles just a little bit. It's really not that bad, but it's just every now and then. So it's doing that thing that it does. Yeah. Well, so it's not really not that bad, but it's there every now and then for sure. So these flats I've been looking at, there's, one of them, for example, had that same setup, because I actually lived in another one as well, which you may have forgotten about, which was in Dunedin, and it was a bit of a party flat of mine when we were shooting I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, or around that time. And I lived on the main street of Dunedin, and I lived in a basement flat.
I remember that one actually. Yep.
Yeah, we had a lot of good parties in there.
We had a lot of good parties drinking in there together, the two of us.
Yeah. No, I had a lot of big parties there. It was good fun. My flatmates would have hated me. I was the 27-year-old that moved in with the 20-year-olds and lived in the basement, and I was making this movie and thought I was a big shot in Dunedin, and these students were like, this fucking asshole's partying downstairs all the time. Yeah. And well, anyway, yeah. Now the same thing is this other place I looked at the other day, right? Now I know the people and they seem and they're cool, and so it's available. But the thing is, it's got its own exit again, so it's the same situation. It's a basement flat where you're outside, where you've got to go outside to get inside, and so I would be, here going outside to go inside to take a shower or a shit, and after which I then go back down to the basement like a troll that lives under the house. But except for when I was in my 20s, it was fine.
Cool.
But, exactly. But now, as a man knocking on 40, I'm a hairy, old, lonely troll that pops up to crimp a turd out every now and then. What am I? I can't bring a potential romantic partner to a place like that. It would bring shame upon my undies.
Well, Yeah, and you'd be bringing shame upon your undies quite regularly from holding it in rather than have to go all the way upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. On the live stream, FGS Haggy says, hey, can I come in and tell my scary story? Sorry, my friend, but it's not.
This is a very exclusive
It's not really that kind of podcast. We don't have the ability to interject your conversation with ours.
We do. We have the ability. We could orchestrate that if we wanted to have a third guest on the show. We could totally do that. But
not right this second. We couldn't.
Oh no, absolutely not. But we're probably also not going to.
But we 100% wouldn't either. No offense.
But no. But yes. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming, though. We do appreciate having you here.
Yeah. So you've been looking at similar flats, and you haven't found anything you liked.
No, and I'm not going to. No self-respecting woman, of an appropriate sort of age in her 30s is going to be like interested in coming around to stay at a guy's house, and forming a romantic relationship with the turd troll from the fucking basement.
Oh, not only that, it's like she's like, cool. Oh, this is where you live. Yeah, that's where I live. Okay, cool. I need to go to the toilet. Oh, what? Number 1 or number 2, love?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got to go up.
Number 1, probably easier just to do it in the yard. I got some toilet paper.
Yeah, I've got a bit of roll of toilet paper. No point going upstairs. But yeah, look, if you got a number 2, head on upstairs. Look, just say hello to the flatties while you're there. I'll give you the key. If they wonder why a total stranger is taking a shit in their toilet, just tell them Harley sent you.
Well, that would be the same as any guest with a flatmate.
Sure, but normally they're sort of residing in the flat.
Any guest is, if I've got a flat, but they're going to bump into them when they're taking a shit.
It's a little bit
when my lover is taking a shit.
It's a little bit different
in their
where
toilet.
They're completely separated from you, except for this one time when your lover comes up to take a shit. Like, so normally it's like, hey guys, have a little chat in the lounge. Cool, we're just going into our room, and then she pops back out. You know what I mean? Whereas this is like, I've never seen this person in my life. I just hear the key on the lock opening. Yeah. A total stranger walks in, and I have to quickly mentally compute. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm guessing
that'd be horrible.
That's Harley's date. Oh, she's coming to drop a turd. Like, that's a good thing. Only he can drop turds up here. We've had this discussion.
Yeah. No, obviously my guests are allowed to crap in my toilet if I'm paying my share of the rent. But that's perhaps the other issue with that place as well, is that I would be the 8th flatmate. 8th.
Yeah, look, when you get past
one kitchen,
when you get past 6 flatmates,
two toilets, one kitchen.
You have to assume it's maybe a cult.
Could be. By the way, to FGS Happy on the live stream, you are of course welcome to comment your scary story.
Just type it all out, mate.
We'll discuss it. Just type it all out. 100%. We'll put it on there.
Well, just get typing now.
He's gone now. Probably.
He's disappointed.
He's probably gone. But
she is.
I think we lost.
We
broke his heart.
She is.
We shamed him, or he or she.
Him or her.
We did.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that.
Yeah. We apologize if you watching, tune in later.
So well, you'll have to keep us abreast of your search as your search continues.
Yeah. Well, I mean, another news as well. I've also, so there's a bar near my house that I mentioned that I was hitting them up last week saying that do they need me? I run events for the film festival in this bar sometimes, so I have an existing relationship with them, and so I asked them. I said, well, how about coming and pulling some pints sometime? Because I was like, well, I got to get busy. I got to get out there. I got to meet people. I got to get out of this cave that I live in. So they got back to me and were like, actually, yes, can you come in tomorrow and the next day? And so I did. And I went and did 2 days of training at a local bar. So
now, what of your training were you like? Yeah. What parts were you like, oh, shit, I really didn't know that? And what parts were you like, yeah, I've got everything under control, actually, so I'm not sweating this?
I didn't sweat a thing, mate. They're not paying me enough to sweat a thing.
They're not paying you. They're not paying you
I'm
enough to
okay,
care.
no responsibility. I'm okay, no responsibility. So I'm like, sweet, yep, what's going on? Cool, I'll do that. And I do a good job. I show up on time. I do a good job. I'm well presented and all of those types of things. But none of it really phased me. But the other thing too, you got to remember is that I have been working in bars for literally 18 years. So just not consistently full time, but I've worked, quite regularly for the last 18 years in a bar, and I was already working at another bar. I hurt my back working at a bar, so it was sort of same shit, different place.
You
really.
herniated a disc working at a bar, but I do think
exactly I
that,
did.
like, obviously those were sort of just every now and then you'd work at that bar that were in question where you herniated your disc.
Yeah.
But this, if this were to transfer to more consistent work, and you moved into a basement, it is literally you are living the life that you lived at 18, except you're 37.
Yes.
So the exact same life, same everything, same set of circumstances. Single?
Yes.
Single.
Working in a bar. Yeah. Poor.
Low income.
Working
low income. Working at a bar.
Working in a bar.
Dreams of making it big one day.
Yeah.
Living in a dingy basement with a bilge pump pumping out the sewage water every now and again when it gets too full.
There won't be. I won't have a bilge pump. This room's nicer than that.
Laying down the law on that. Absolutely will not be sucking any sewage out of this. I'm sorry, but if you don't, if I have to suck any sewage out of this basement, I'm not moving in. Just so you guys know, I've had my fill of that.
I was very proud of my bilge pump setup, actually.
I remember coming around and being like, Jesus. And then when you showed me the hole in the wall and the thing, I was like, what the hell is this? How can anyone live in these conditions? This is so bad for you.
When the carpet would flood, I would just have to take it outside and just leave it drying out there all day. I'd just leave this ratty old carpet lined up on this busy street that I lived on in central Wellington, just lying up there in the sun, just drying out because of the I switched off the bilge pump or whatever.
Also, I will say that you did say you didn't have any problems after you got the bilge pump, but I specifically remember you saying that you made a mistake and you didn't check the bilge pump, or there was something like that, and it did 100% flood and overflow with the bilge pump in place.
It did do that, but it was operator error. The system was good. The system was strong. It was operator error.
It was a robust system.
Yeah.
Operator failure.
Exactly. You can't account for human behavior. You can't calculate it.
It's the pilots that crash the planes. It's the planes themselves. Many safety procedures in place there.
Exactly. Usually, not always, but often.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought it would be interesting if you did you're cut to 17 years later, doing exactly the same thing that you were doing 17 years ago.
This is going to be brilliant for the project, for the project season 2. All of this, it's all brilliant. I think the project season 2 should be set post-COVID. And so we can refer back regularly to how great things were in the interim between, things did go great for us. We made this movie and a bunch of cool stuff did happen, but then obviously you still got all the bad things that happened. And then the story picks up post-COVID.
Right.
And we're here, poor, and I move in to your house or move in next door to your house, maybe, which is the other part of the story, right? Is that I could try and get a flat of my own, but there's a place near your place, next door to your place, and this could be the new Pigville Productions head office. If only I can get it. If this empty place can be mine.
Yeah, you're not gonna like the rent there, I don't think. That's the only.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
It is gonna run a bit contrary to you saving money, I imagine.
Yeah, but I mean, divided by 3, but you, me, and Tisha, your missus, divided by 3 plus the flatmate I get in, that should work out quite nicely. We'll just divide it all up by 4. I think that'll probably work.
Not sure how we've been involved in paying your rent now, but
I'm also going to use your Wi-Fi password, obviously, as well.
and luckily we've
Yeah.
got a
And
luckily we've got a
I'm
booster
next
now,
door.
so that you'll probably be quite successful.
Yeah.
Probably get some good high internet speeds, so you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. Great.
But of course, there is an issue. Like, look, I don't want to say that I'm any better. Like I have exactly now, or actually, I better double check. There's 16 days left on my contract, which has not been currently renewed. So I'm counting down 16 days until total unemployment. So that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I did message my boss 2 days ago, and I said, hey, just so you know, 17 days left on my contract, or whatever it was at the time, or there's just over 2 weeks, or whatever I said. I'd love to get some clarity, some feedback, a little bit of knowledge of to where to from here. No reply.
Yeah, so
no reply specifically to that. I'd love to hear by the end of the week, is what I said.
To me, that is so strange that they can't. It's bullshit that they can't have thought of this 2 months ago. Or
well,
I mean,
no,
okay, COVID.
actually.
Okay, let's give them a break with COVID. Let's give them a break with COVID. Let's give them a break. But like, if that's kind of normal for you just to not to have heard anything by the end of your contract, it's like, come on, you guys can give them a bloody month's warning, can't you?
Oh, in terms of like,
you should get it in your bloody contract next time. You want a month's warning.
I actually believe it is in my contract, Harley.
Oh, we should be shaking that at them.
Yeah, well, I will. I'll start rattling the branches just as soon as they tell me that I'm
shaking your saber.
As soon as they
rattling your saber.
As soon as they sort of advise me of sort of what the what like that I'm not coming back. If I'm not coming back, them trees gonna be rattled. Until then, well, I'm just gonna remain nonchalant and anxiety ridden and not sleeping at night. That's how I plan to deal with that. That's my sort of.
Well, good. That sounds like a healthy coping strategy.
Yeah, no sleep, and just fraught with worry and anxiety is how I plan to deal with it. And for the next 16 days. Yeah.
Well, speaking of healthy coping habits, I am now in dry July. It's been it's the second day of dry July, which is something I do every year. I've done it. This might be my 5th time. I'm not sure. Pretty sure it'll be at least my 5th. And so, my 5th time of doing dry July, which is where you don't drink for the month of July in order to raise money to make life a little easier for people living with cancer. It's go to dryjuly.co.nz and you can find out more about that. And so every year I abstain from imbibing for the month of July in order to raise that money, but also, to be really honest, it's mostly just to give my bloody body a break and make sure that I can still go a month without drinking. So it's just I think it's just a good healthy thing to do once a year. And so I have signed up at the same time, literally on July 1st, the first day of dry July, I worked in a bar. So this is an interesting place I'm setting myself up in here, where I'm going to be doing dry July, but working in a bar. And I'm telling you guys about it on July 2nd. Let's see how I talk about it, at the end of the month. Let's see what happens here. It's a shitty time to start working in a bar because, after work, especially if you've had to like pack down and all that, it's nice to sit there and drink a free beer on the house.
It's customary.
But they do have some. It is customary. They do have some 0% beers though, so that'll just have to do. But full disclosure, I have bought a golden ticket for the night of the Immy the Vegan premiere, as mentioned, which is coming along nicely. Tickets are on sale right now, and there's currently only 29 of them. So if any of the listeners are in Auckland and would like to go to the world premiere of Immy the Vegan, it's on July 19th at 5 p.m. and you can get your tickets at Eventbrite, but the best place to do it is to go facebook.com and search for Immy the Vegan, or I'll post it. Here's what I'll do: facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and I'll post the ticket thing there.
Yeah, would love to see some people down there, for sure. It's sure to be a hilarious, heartfelt, and all-round enjoyable night.
Yes, well, I agree. It's been exciting because we've been working on Emmy the Vegan so the show itself was shot 2 years ago, and I know that because I got a Facebook reminder telling me
a couple
we were
of
doing
those.
2 weeks,
Yeah,
2 years
we were
ago.
filming it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Those things used to be like kind of cool reminders of, things you've done in the past. Now they're just cruel reminders of the bullshit that, is still needs to be done.
The quagmire.
Or how long it takes. Yeah.
The quagmire, of shit that you have to wade through.
It's like 2 years ago. It's like, all right. Stop reminding me that it's been 8 years since we shot Older. All right. I get it. You don't need to remind me every fucking year. Okay?
And speaking of quagmires and Older, I will just share a little Older story because earlier on the podcast, we talked about sending away the hard drive to our distributor.
I've been meaning to ask you about
and
this.
There was this sort of, great sense of relief. I recorded a little vlog. I, took a little thing, and I was like,
this sounds like
beautiful
bad news.
moment. This is this time, and we finally did it. It's away. It's with God now. God being our distributor. Praise be to our distributor. But
hallowed be thy name.
But so, and it was all cool, and then I don't know, obviously they were like, hey, look, it's going to take a little bit of time for it to get there, more than the prescribed 6 days. So even though we're charging you the same amount...
The courier company said that.
So even though we're charging you the same amount, which is $60, which is exorbitant by any standards, it's going to take a while, so just bear with us. And I was like, cool. And I was like, do you know how long? They go, oh, no, we can't actually say how long.
Yeah. Now this was in the height of lockdown and COVID. It was around that time. This is when
I think we went to level 2. It was whenever the post offices opened.
When the post office. So that's obviously a complicated time. But so
I was there in a jiffy. Obviously, as soon as that level raised down, I was off and sending it away.
So what happened?
So what happened was I was like, man, it's been quite a while. It's been over a month, and I haven't heard anything from the distributor. And so I just
because I was going to ask you about
sent a message through to the distributor. I was like, hey, is that you guys received that, right? And they were like, nope, haven't received anything. And I was like, okay, let me just check that tracking number. And it was like, yeah, it says it was delivered and then undelivered. And I was like, okay. And so I had a bit more back and forth with the distributor, and I was like, well, they definitely don't have it, so what the fuck happened? So I called the post office, and they're like, yeah, it was delivered to the wrong address. And I was like, well, that's fucking impossible, because I'm not that incompetent. I swear. So what I did is I go, hey, so they said that it was sent to the wrong address, and my distributor was like, oh, yeah, we've moved. That was the old address. And so in the time, and also I will say that I did check right before I sent it, the address.
Yeah.
And in that time that it was in transit, they must have moved and changed the address. So by the time it arrived, sort of 2 or 3 weeks, whenever it arrived, it went to this place, got bounced back to the thing. I didn't get any notifications about it. They didn't get any notifications about it. And I was like, cool. Well, and then I was like, can I do anything? Like, can I redirect it from here? And the post office was like, no, they can. So they have to make a call to the post office there. And so I was like, said, that's what you have to do. They're like, cool, we'll get back to you. I followed up again, and they're like, yeah, we got in touch with them. They finally got back to us, and they said that they've sent it back to New Zealand.
Ah, for fuck's sake. New Zealand? That's the other side of the world.
So to me, that's indie filmmaking in a nutshell right there. It's indie filmmaking in a nutshell. It's like you think you're done. You think it's over. You think you're moving on to the next step. Guess what, motherfucker? It's not over. Nah. We haven't moved to the next step. You're bogged down in the quagmire, and you're still down wading through the shit. So I'm obviously not going to wait for it to come back, because who the fuck knows when that is going to happen.
I hope we didn't miss too many sales opportunities. But surely now we can.
Well, no, thank God that COVID is surging around the world still.
Yeah.
And so the demand for streaming and online digital content is still high. Luckily, we're the only place that's gotten over this pandemic, thank God. Otherwise, our film could be in dire straits from missing out on this window. The window seems to still exist. So I am now going to make those new deliverables all over again.
Okay. Well, hang on. So can't it be? So the reason why we're not sending it digitally is huge files and all that stuff. But the reason why we're not sending it digitally is because they said don't send it digitally because we're getting slammed by a bunch of things we care about more. And so can you please post it to us to our wrong old address? Because by the way, we're moving and we're not letting you know. And then so that happened and it got sent back here. But surely by now we can do it digitally.
I doubt it. I'll ask them again.
Why? Well, no, but surely we can say, because I mean, the point was at the time they were getting slammed, but that was, months ago. And this was during all the COVID stuff and it's all calmed down now. So they've probably got it sorted. So they're probably like, why the fuck are they posting it to us?
No, because
But surely you could make the argument anyway that they should allow us to make, to do it digitally because of this fuck around with the moving.
I could absolutely make that argument, but I can absolutely guarantee, and I'll send them an email. But I absolutely guarantee that they'll just say, no, just resend it again. Because that's what she said. Just resend it again.
Yeah.
She didn't say, oh, well, because of all these delays, drop it in the Dropbox. She just said...
Yeah, but you also didn't ask about it.
But I did ask about that the first time round.
Which is what I would have done. Yeah, but the first time round was in the middle of COVID. Now, obviously, circumstances are different.
They're still in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, but it's much worse.
Just not in the middle of COVID.
There's systems now, but as in they've had time to work on it, is what I'm saying. Because at the time they needed all the. It's not about them going to work. It's about the time, like they've developed systems by now. Is what I'm trying to say. It's been 2 months.
Very a generous guess, but I'll update you on that. I guarantee you.
That's definitely what will happen. It would have calmed down a little. They might still say no. I'm not saying they won't say no. I'm just saying that by now they're not in panic mode like they were like 2 months ago.
Well, I don't think they're in panic mode. I think they're in money-making mode. But they're also in this is a very low priority mode.
Oh. Well, yeah.
That's the issue.
No, I think the issue is we need to ask them about it and we'll figure it out.
Like I said, I'll make a wager on this podcast right now. I will.
Okay, but I'm not betting you that they're going to say yes.
But
because that's silly, isn't it?
What I'm saying is, I know the answer. I'm going to ask them anyway. But I'm telling you right now what's going to happen. And you're saying, well, I think there's still a possibility. I'm saying there's no possibility. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yep, we'll see. But you've got to ask for it like you want it.
I did the first time.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to do the second time too. Yeah. But the first time doesn't count. The first time doesn't count. It was in the height of COVID. It was when all of this was going down. Everything was changing. Everyone had to move online. We had to work from home. Everything was changing. It was panic. Now they've been doing it for 2 months. Now probably it's not a problem for you to drop it in the Dropbox.
Yeah, well, maybe they've changed their processes, but
well, they have. They've had to.
We'll see. We'll update you on that one next podcast.
We will.
After I've posted it away again.
Yeah. Well then. On that note,
that was all really I had to share. Just that excruciating pain that I'll be going through to remake that stuff or put it all to compile that stuff. It's already made.
Yeah, well, it's definitely bad news. It's bad news because what do you know? It's another delay. It's another month of delays.
Yep. Oh, over a month. 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Too long.
Yeah.
Too long.
Yeah. Another month of delays. The classic. Put it all in the project. It all goes in there. It's all good stuff. This is all great stuff for the project. All right. Well, look, I think it's time to wrap it up.
It is. But your camera keeps fucking out.
Well, actually, I wanted to launch a new drinking game at the beginning of the show, and I forgot. I wanted to say, look, guys, guy sent me a link. I'm supposed to update the firmware on the camera. It'll stop doing this thing where it turns off every half an hour or so. but I did not put that in. And so I was going to say a new drinking game. Every time Harley's camera switches itself off, that's a drink for you if you're on the live stream. The Guy and Harley podcast drinking game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So they would have probably had. I'm guessing four drinks.
Yeah.
4 drinks today.
Well done, Lexi. Yeah. So go to facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and that's where I'll post the Dry July link and the Immy the Vegan world premiere link. So if you're interested in either of those things, donating to my Dry July cause or getting a ticket to come along to the world premiere of Immy the Vegan, go to facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and from there you will see the link that I'm going to share. And there's only, last time I checked, 29 public tickets left. So get in, kids. If you're in Auckland, get in July 19th. Come along and see a 1-hour supercut of the entire Immy the Vegan series in one hit with the cast and crew, with hopefully a little intro and a Q&A if I'm lucky.
Yeah, it'll be a night of frivolity.
I really hope you can make it.
Yeah,
Guy.
which I may not be attending, depending on when my surgery comes around, but we'll see. My girlfriend may be representing me. She'll come on stage and do a speech and talk as if she's the director of it, and kind of take credit for everything. May as well.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't know.
I'll do that. I'll be doing.
No, don't worry. I'll take
that.
credit for everything.
No, don't worry. I've got that
covered.
I'll be taking
credit for everything.
All the credit. Yeah. Don't worry about that. This will be a Harley Neville production. As long as people laugh, like. So I'll do the intro a little bit, muted just in case. But if we get a Q&A afterwards and it's really good, then I'll just claim all the credit. I'll say it's Neville Productions.
Cool. Well, thank you to the live streamers and the live listeners and the Twitchers and the
Smashcasters, because we're live on Smashcast as well. Don't tell anybody. Don't spread that around. Actually, we'll get in trouble. But if you want to go and find us on Smashcast, go and do that. It's another place you can see us. We're trying to build this empire.
Building a brand.
Yeah, we are.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, and we will see you next time.